We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Doc and Prof here, coming at you live here Tuesdays, a edition of Debate Amongst Friends. Prof, how you doing there, boy?
Doc, I can't wait to see what you booked for us today. El Idolo. I cannot wait.
I don't have a lot booked today. I can't lie. There's not a lot to book today. I mean, we had some coaching movement. We had COVID, of course. One or two extensions. But honestly, it's been a dry storyline. I know the major media outlets are really doing some major fishing today. But I told you
Monday Night Football and all this other stuff too.
Which I told you, and be honest, this is the first time I've seen stories about a positive Jameis Winston performance since he's been drafted. Oh my God. Which I saw on Facebook, even somebody else said, and I quote, "That was not Jameis Winston that we saw in that Saints jersey. Who was that quarterback? That was no Jameis Winston." But honestly, it was Jameis Winston. And a lot of the throws that he made were throws that I've seen over the years that were dropped and intercepted, that were tipped and intercepted. That one throw he made to Callaway, the deep ball, that would have definitely been picked off in Tampa without question. The release, it was short, underthrown. Callaway made a great position on it, but it was well underthrown. So do I expect Jameis to be competitive? Yes. Absolutely. He's got the weapons, and he did this without Michael Thomas and Kamara last night. So, but not to take anything away from Trevor Lawrence. I know that they're going back between him and, what's his freaking name with the freaking Minshew. I know they're going back and forth with their competition, but it's clear, they let Trevor stay in for 2 quarters yesterday. Minshew for 1 quarter, and then they brought in another quarterback for the last. Obviously, Jameis won that particular battle. Taysom Hill, despite his great performance at the end of last season, it doesn't seem like they're going to give him the nod. They're going to go with Jameis.
Of course,
they're going to go with
called that,
the righty. The righty.
We want the righty.
But Trevor Lawrence had a pretty okay. I would say he had a pretty okay game. I think he's still learning the speed.
Yes. But of course, the big story, of course, to everyone was Jameis Winston. The same Jameis Winston, as Doc mentioned. They were laughing about him when he fell. They were laughing at him when he was dancing. And now they're like, man, he should be the starting quarterback.
Don't forget eating a W.
Eating dubs, of course.
But
prisoners of the moment, Doc.
Big time. And you see how that worked yesterday with when we talked about the young guy from AEW. So some people just have to thrive in it, take the heat to cool off. Technically, it's like take the dramatics, take the criticism, take everything, and then get rewarded. I mean, despite Jameis's 30 for 30, right? He still got signed by a playoff team, learned under an MVP, Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, got re-signed, not made the millions and millions of dollars.
But like he can, work himself towards, the type of contract that he's always wanted.
They gave him another 1-year deal, which is perfect. He can go out here, try to ball out, and get that 25 to 30 million that he wanted last season. So, but congrats to Jameis, though. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the rosters shape out in the NFL as we're
heading towards the final preseason, which means the final cuts.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about 2 preseason games for the first time in NFL history, right?
Yeah, in our history.
Right. Yeah, well, in history, period, because, I mean, this has never really happened before. How do you think rosters are going to shape up? Like, I don't think 2 games is enough to really evaluate talent. There's going to be a lot of talent out there just floating around.
I can see a lot of people out there in the free agency pool, just waiting to get picked up. Like people who, they're good. Maybe they didn't maybe the team that they played for during the preseason like didn't see enough. But another team's like, he has that potential. Like, let's see what happens. Let's give you a shot, kid. I see that happening a lot. I can see, a lot of these cut NFL players potentially joining playoff caliber teams and just really bringing a lot of contribution.
I agree. And I noticed even with the signing of Everson Griffin, going back to Vikings, apologizing for the comments he made in the past about Kirk Cousins and some of his other teammates. He regrets leaving the Vikings, despite, going to some pretty quality teams and having, I would say subpar success, but he's older and he realized that, hey, this is where he should have been. Obviously, he spent last season with the Cowboys and the Lions, didn't go quite so well, but he's happy to be back with the Vikings. But yeah, I agree. It's going to be a lot of young guys making practice squads, a lot of young guys who probably will get, I think they're not doing 53. I think they're doing 55 or something like that roster when we went over the new player agreement. But this is going to be awesome to see how the player movement, who gets cut, who hits the waiver wire. I know they talked about that a lot yesterday on the broadcast because there are some young quarterbacks that you don't want to just release because another team might just say, hey, we want this guy on our 55-man roster. So it's going to be a lot of decisions to make. I'm looking forward to obviously seeing what the Bucs do, and we'll see what happens.
No doubt, Doc. This is the part where, a lot of players' dreams come true, making to the NFL team, being able to play week one, and, some other dreams, they get shattered.
Right to the shattered dreams. But speaking of shattered dreams and speaking of dreams that, may come true, the Patriots and Cam Newton they're at odds here. We released it yesterday that, Cam Newton had a quote unquote misunderstanding of this, I don't know, broken protocol or, whatever it is he did, because the media only gives us probably 1/4 of the truth. But this might open up an opportunity, right? This might give us an opportunity to see Mac Jones early. Which I want to see. I want to see Mac Jones. I like Mac Jones. I feel like he has the potential to be one of the better Alabama quarterbacks to ever come out of the draft. The Patriots is a good system for him to learn in. They're not going to make it too difficult. They're going to keep it simple.
Yep.
No disrespect to Cam, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cam becomes a cap casualty.
A casualty. Oh no.
Right.
I think the only thing I'll say about this Cam story is this. They put the guidelines in. We all saw what happened last season. This is what we was talking about on Friday.
Right. I agree.
We are not in the clear yet, folks. Stop acting like we are. Because those
pipes are not clear.
I'm gonna let that one slide, folks.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm happy that COVID in the sporting arena hasn't spread too much like wildfire. But I don't think that's a reason to, again, take our eye off the prize of trying to, as they say, curve the spread of the virus.
Yes. But speaking of eyeing the prize, or at least embracing the prize, the 2020 NBA champions Seattle Storm visited the White House yesterday.
Which, I had a chance to watch the Bucs go to the White House. I noticed, and I didn't see the video of the storm, but I noticed that everybody wasn't present for that ring ceremony at the White House. Even with Joe Biden, I don't know how it was. I know some people didn't want to meet Trump, obviously, for their own personal reasons.
Of course.
We won't get into that. But I'm curious to know, did it seem like the whole team showed up to the White House, or was it just certain people? I know most notably, Gronk wasn't there, but obviously Gronk, he's such a free spirit. Who knows what he really had going on? But that's always interesting to see when people do go to the White House. But the wide shot.
And I don't think they necessarily listed the reasons why a lot of the players didn't appear. So I'm not going to sit here and speculate it's because they didn't like, President Biden or anything like that. I'm not going to speculate on that. They weren't there. If I had a chance to meet a president, whether I agree with his views or not, I get to go to the White House. Not many people can say they can go to the White House.
Facts. Just going to the White House alone, even if you don't respect the president at all,
the fact that Secret Service allowed Doc and Prof to enter those gates,
right? Yeah, just to go
is an accomplishment.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Just going in, just to, as Tom Brady said, or any of the players, I'm in the China room. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big deal.
Okay, the fact that Secret Service allowed Doc Draper suited up and the notorious John Gotti in those gates within itself is an Xbox achievement. Click.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I would be the first one to say I'm taking a picture on every inch that I can.
You actually so do a vlog.
I probably would. Secret vlog.
There would be no
But speaking of the WNBA, which is the first time I've seen this, and you would have to correct me if you ever seen this anywhere else.
Of course.
But current WNBA player Kristi Toliver, who plays for the Los Angeles Sparks, or at least is on the roster, has accepted a coaching job with the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think I've ever really seen a active player who's on a roster join a coaching staff, which is pretty awesome. I don't know if she's planning on retiring or if she has retired, but I know they still have her listed on the roster. I think that's pretty awesome nonetheless.
I won't say that it's impossible to see that happening because, as we kind of seen with the Olympics, like the WNBA can just take breaks.
True.
And I don't think their schedule is as heavy if you compare it to the NBA. And this isn't a knock on the WNBA. This is me just stating what's going on.
No, facts.
She can technically do that. There's really nothing stopping her from being able to do. They're essentially doing two jobs. We've seen we've seen a lot of WNBA players on ESPN, on TNT during the regular season.
That's true. And who's to say that they don't have other jobs, period, anyway?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's
who's to say it?
To how the NBA was in the past.
That's true.
Where a lot of players were NBA, NFL, many of them having the sports job and then a normal job because it didn't pay as much, which of course go back to what Doc always, champion talking about, the wage gap.
Yeah. So, I'm happy for her though. I'm happy for Jason Kidd for being open to bringing in a new coach. Oh, I know currently they're in contact with Jared Dudley to also join the staff. Jared Dudley's a vet. Come on. I know he gets his flack, but he's a former.
You really think sports writers going to talk about Jared Dudley? Do they have Kristi Toliver to talk about? Like, come on.
I get it.
But something that they will talk about.
Uh-oh.
And Doc, sometimes we just have to leave on a jet plane because Jason Terry in the ATL as an assistant. No.
Well, Jason. No. He's in the Nugget. He's in Denver.
Yes.
Yeah, Jason Terry, the Jets in Denver,
is an assistant in Atlanta.
Now, Van Exel is an interesting perspective because obviously Nick the Quick, as he was so notoriously called, was a really, really good guard back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And
again, I think people don't understand how good he is.
Yeah, I thought he was a really, really solid player, and him going in, and I think coaching Trae Young, giving him that old school mentality, right? And saying, hey, all this new stuff is just a adaptation of what we used to do, right? You had the Tim Hardaways, right, with the double crossover. Now everybody's just kind of, doing their own thing, but it's all freestyle. But I think Trae Young is going to benefit highly from Nick Van Exel.
Absolutely.
And lastly, the Celtics extended Josh Richardson or agreed to a 1-year, $12 million extension. I mean, Josh Richardson, honestly, I would say
we were just talking so highly of him when he went to Philadelphia.
Right.
I remember that.
I mean, he honestly, he's had great chances.
They said that he was an upgrade from Jimmy Butler. That was exactly what people said.
And that's bananas. That's absolutely bananas.
Because people within the media and people within certain NBA teams didn't like Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler was that person.
Maybe, you know what? Jimmy's too vocal for most people.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like he's that person. He will tell you about yourself.
Right. But it's out of. I felt like it was all out of love, and that's the one thing about it: love of the game, love of the profession. It's like, hey, if you're soft, like I should be able to tell you that you're soft, and then
you should feel, compelled to be inspired,
right?
To
prove him wrong.
Prove me wrong. Yes.
Yeah. Which he did. That's what he said. He's like, hey, you're soft.
And
if you're not, prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Like, I'm not here to fight you or anything. No. Listen, we're teammates. It's never going to be about that. As one person told me, like, we're on the same team.
On a team, and it doesn't matter what sport. You should want to push each other to become better. Doc can speak with this more than I do because he is a head coach and he wants his teammates to push each other to make themselves better. Because
I agree.
The coach can only do so much.
They can only, and I'm so glad you said that. The coach can only do but so much. And as a player, you should want to get better on your own. And that's the part that bothers me a lot about the sports that I've kind of been around. It's like, everybody kind of wants things to be handed to them. And that's why this whole thing about like forcing trades it's like, tough it out. Like, get better. You want more minutes? The person in front of you has your minutes. What are you going to do to get those minutes from them?
You're going to sit there.
Don't just say, hey, I went out. That's pretty much what they're doing, crying.
Or you're going to try to run away from it? Like, no, you want that spot? Go get it. Like, it literally makes me think of Remember the Titans.
Yeah. You want to listen. You want to hand him your spot? Go give it to him.
Go give it to him.
But if you want to earn a spot, go earn it. But
take it.
But Johnny, I know they heard this podcast on their favorite podcast platform. But if they didn't, they can always go to our website at debateamongstfriends.com. That's www.debateamongstfriends.com to review this episode as well as all of our previous. Be sure to tune in Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we go over the news, the analysis, and the reads.
Happy birthday, Vincent Kennedy.